Here are 10 tips for your next family trip to the parks. What's up everyone, it's Andy, and in this video I'm going to share with you 10 tips to follow for your family trip to the parks, especially if you're visiting the parks for the first time with little ones. You might want to follow these 10 tips. Number 1 is arrive early. The parking structures actually open an hour before the first park opens, which is typically around 8 a.m. Therefore, the parking structures open at 7 a.m. You can't actually make line until about 6:50, 6:55 a.m. because of traffic purposes, of course, and safety. Security will move the cones about 6:55, 6:57, 58 around that time. Then you can make your line inside the parking structure, head on down to security, and make your way over to the gates of either of the parks. You'll actually be able to enter the theme parks before 8 a.m., make your way down Main Street, and head over to any of the lands, which is called rope drop, which is when the cast members will have a rope and then formally announcing that the park is open, and then you make your way over to the attraction that you would like. My recommendation is, especially if you want to ride Rise of the Resistance, you want to head over to the left and head on through Adventureland, where the cast member will lead you all the way to Galaxy's Edge to the entrance of Rise of the Resistance. Especially right now, since they are not using the virtual queue to begin the day with, you will expect to be waiting for about at least an hour to up to 3 hours, really. Tip number 2 is download the Disneyland app. If you haven't done so, check out other videos in our channel describing how to use the Disneyland app, as well as mobile ordering and the virtual queue. Like I explained, they're not usually currently right now, but if they do resort to using it at 12 p.m., it's good to know what the process will be like. Aside from the neat features, you also have access to your map, show times, character meet and greets, and all that wonderful stuff, which makes your planning that much easier. Tip number 3, rent a stroller. If for whatever reason you were not able to bring your stroller in because of dimensions or because of travel purposes, you can rent a stroller, a single stroller, for $18 per day at the Disneyland Resort, or $36 for a double stroller. Kids get tired, you don't want to carry them around, especially when they're napping and making your way around the park, so might as well just rent a stroller if you're not able to bring your own personal stroller in. Tip number 4 is bring your own food and water. You can pretty much bring almost anything. I've seen families bringing full-on meals for Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays, all that wonderful stuff, especially during right now. You can bring In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Pollo Loco, whatever you want to bring in, you can pretty much bring it in. There's no restrictions. I'm pretty sure there might be some, but I haven't really seen anything. I've brought in meals myself and I haven't been told otherwise. Maybe the cast member will be like, can I have a fryer or two? But other than that, you can pretty much bring anything in. Of course, we recommend you bring your own water bottle. There are water stations around the theme parks where you can refill it. And especially if you're visiting the parks during the summer days, you want to make sure you stay hydrated. Tip number 5 is rent a locker. Especially if you bring your own food and you have a cooler or a cooler backpack, or if you brought extra change of clothes, which we highly recommend, especially if you're going to go on wet attractions. You might consider renting a locker. They range from $7 to $10 depending on the size. They're available over at Disney California Adventure and at Disneyland, and actually outside the Esplanade, which is right outside of Disneyland next to the Lost and Found. Tip number 6, and this is mostly for those who have little ones and are still nursing, but it's also good to know if you do run out of diapers and wipes, know where the baby center is at. There are 2 inside of the Disneyland Resort, one over at Disneyland at the end of Main Street next to the First Aid, which is actually good to know as well. And the other one is over at Disney California Adventure at the Pacific Wharf next to the bread factory in front of the Ghirardelli. They have a lot of amenities that are free to use, such as private rooms for nursing. They do have small kitchens where they have microwaves to heat up food or formulas or those sort of things. They also do have items for sale such as diapers, wipes, formulas, all that wonderful stuff at the baby center. Tip number 7 is have a plan. Can't stress this enough. I've seen plenty of families just hanging around at the hub or down Main Street trying to figure out what to do. Try to figure out before you get there what you actually want to do. Is it attractions? Is it dining? Is it shopping? Is it meet and greet characters, parades, fireworks, all that wonderful stuff? Try to figure that out beforehand and have a game plan. That is why we also recommend you download the Disneyland app, because you will have the map there. Familiarize yourself with where the attractions are at, what high requirements are there, where things are located, such as dining locations, meet and greet characters, what time the fireworks are at, what time the parades are at, and all that wonderful stuff. Tip number 8. With the planning, tip number 8, and that is decide on a meeting spot. Whether someone gets lost or you decide to split up into groups, pick a spot inside of the theme park so that way everyone can meet together and everyone knows where to meet. That way, then you can go about your day rather than trying to find where people are at and trying to find people and, you know, all that stuff. Tip number 9, and this is actually one of my dad duties, reserve the spot for the parade. Typically about an hour, I make my way over to Main Street with a blanket, backpack, stroller, whatever it is that I need to reserve the amount of spots that I need to reserve for my family. Typically about an hour before, they'll start roping off the area about 30 minutes before the parade actually starts. So you want to get there early because people will just camp out there on Main Street specifically because they have all the lighting and all the shows and all that wonderful stuff. So an hour before, reserve your spot. Last but not least, tip number 10 is take breaks. Especially if you have little ones, they're gonna be physically tired, emotionally tired by the end of the day. So make sure they take enough breaks. I understand that you want them to see everything, the fireworks, the parade, the characters, the attractions, all that wonderful stuff. But at the end of the day, they're still little kids. They will get tired. You will get tired as well. So make sure you also take some rest. I can't stress enough how many families I see trying to push their kids, especially towards the later portion of the day, because the characters are out or the parade is there and they're just like falling asleep. Let them take a rest when they need to. They will re-energize, and especially you know more than anyone, your own kid, you'll know that after that nap, they'll be ready to go. And that is it for this video. If you want to learn more family tips, make sure you hit that plus sign. No, that's TikTok. And that is it for this video. If you want to learn more family tips, consider subscribing to the channel, hit that bell notification icon, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Until then, my name is Andy. Have a magical day.